Okay, so this is going to be my first story time about me giving birth to my beautiful little boy. Um, so to start off first, I found out I was pregnant at my niece's birthday party. Her mom was throwing her a party at her mom's house, and she is Asian, and she has this like rice stuff that she makes, which everybody loves, still loves in this house to this day. And she gave me some that wasn't so spicy, and for some reason, as soon as I took a bite, I just started craving it and craving it. And when I took it back home to our apartment, me and my ex-husband's, I'm not gonna keep calling him my ex-husband. Me and I'll call him Sai. Me and Sai, we went to we went to the apartment, and the grocery bag, just had this awful smell. I was like, "Hey, do you smell this? Why does it smell like this?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "It smells so wrong." And he was like, "I can't smell it. It's a bag." And I was like, I can smell it. It's disgusting." And I just jumped up and started throwing up in the bathroom. And he was like, "Yo, are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine. It's just the bag stinks. I can't believe you can't smell it." Later on that night, I cooked dinner. I normally cook dinner while he watches a movie or does whatever he's doing. I'll cook dinner. I cook dinner. I put it on the table. And never in my life have I ate ranch dressing. And I stopped eating fries when I was like a teenager. So I remember he was sitting across the table from me, and I just turned around and I was like, I dipped my chicken in his ranch dressing, and he looked up at me like, "Well, when did you start eating ranch?" And I was like, "Oh, I just smelt it and I wanted it." And he was like, "Jasmine, stop playing with me." And I was like, "Playing with you how? I just wanted to try it." Then later on, after he ate the meal, he went and heated him up some fries. So as he eating the fries, I start dipping, taking his fries and eating the ranch dressing. And he was like, "Yo, you don't even eat fries." And I was like, "I might be pregnant." I was joking. But he was like, "Yo." And I ate half of those fries with him and then asked him, was he going to make some more? And he got up, put his slides on, got his keys, and he started to walk towards the door. I was like, "Yo, where are you going? What are you doing?" And he just left. So at this point, I'm like, "Where did my whole husband go? Like, where did Sai go?" And then when he came back, he had bought me, I want to say, 8 pregnancy tests or 4. He bought me 4. He bought me 2 different packs, 2 different kinds, and I tried the first 2. The first one came out, I think faulty. It didn't say anything. The second one was positive. And then he was like, "Try the other 2." So I did the other 2, and then he went to the store to go get the ones that tell you how many weeks you've been pregnant. So he went and got me more, and I peed on those, and it was like, "You're 3 weeks, I believe 3 weeks pregnant." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what we're gonna do. Oh my gosh." And for me, I was like, "Hey, it happened now." So I was just laughing, and he was in shock. He had me take 8. He was distraught. He was like, "Oh my gosh." And then he told everybody he was pregnant. he wanted a little girl only because there wasn't many girls in his family. He said everybody just had boys. I knew I was having a boy. So as time went on and I started like just talking to my stomach because I heard that that was good for the baby to hear your voice, know who you are and all that. So I just felt like I was having a boy, and I would always rub my belly and say, "Hey, Sebastian, how are you doing this morning?" And Sai would be like, "That's not Sebastian." And I was like, "Yeah, it is Sebastian." And he was like, "How you know you're not having a girl?" And I was like, "Okay, you're right. Let me say Sebastian and Saya." And I'd be like, "Hey, Saya." And that was only one time just to, make him feel better. But then I just kept saying Sebastian because I really felt like I was having a boy. So as time went on, hopefully, like I said, I could insert pictures. I was excited, and he got more excited. I was excited as soon as I went to, let's get there. I went to the clinic. He took me to a clinic to see if everything was okay. It was a free clinic. So I went to the free clinic, peed on the stick. She was like, "You're not pregnant." It says, it didn't say I wasn't pregnant, but it was kind of like that faint to line. So she was like, "You're pretty much not pregnant. You're good." And I was like, "I believe I'm pregnant because I took 8 tests. I know I'm pregnant." And she was like, "Nah, you're probably not pregnant. You're pretty good." And so I looked at I looked at Sai, and I was like, he was like, "Yeah, you're pregnant." He was like, "Well, maybe you're not pregnant. Shoot." And I was like, "No, I'm pregnant. I'm pretty sure I am." And then she was like, "Well, we can give you an ultrasound if you want to come back in a couple of weeks." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." And I went back in a couple of weeks, and bam, there was a little person inside. And funny little moment, while I was laying on the table, me and the nurse was smiling because she was like, "Ah, there we go." And I could see like, the very small little portion of your baby. And my Asai was like, "Hey, so is she pregnant?" And we both looked at him. She was like, "Yeah, you don't see that right there?" And he was like, "See what?" Because he thought it was a part of my body, but it's a little baby. And I get that because you don't really know all what's inside of your body. Everything was new to both of us. So yeah. And he was like, "She seemed rude. Like she was mad that I ain't know it was a baby in there. I ain't know." I was like, she just said you don't see the baby. But yeah, it was cute little moment. And then I didn't want to tell anybody. I wanted it to be a surprise. Unfortunately, Sai cannot keep secrets because he's very impatient. He cannot hold ice water on his stomach for anything in the world. And he told all his family. So when he told his family, I was like, well, now I gotta tell mine. I wanted it to be surprised. At least 6 months go by to make sure that everything was okay and I was gonna carry the baby, because you don't want to, tell everybody prematurely that you're having a baby and then something happens and you don't have the baby. So as time gets on, I become more, I guess a good backstory is to say that I'm not very emotional, and I wasn't very emotional before I got pregnant. But when I got pregnant, I became like, I got on my own nerves. But he liked it. That's what he told me. He liked it. I say that because nowadays he'll be like, "You were crazy and I had to deal with you." But back then he was all smiles and like, "I love that you're showing so much emotion and so much affection," because I really was clingy, and I would call him all the time. And that's when I was just like, "I want to be with you. I love you." I would call him like, "Hello, what you doing?" and stuff like that. The parts that were messed up was like when he was going to Wendy's. I had a craving for chili beans, which I have never had chili beans prior, but I wanted chili beans. Like, it kept being on my mind, and I was like, I wanted it. So we went to a drive-thru. he said what he normally say to people. He would be like, "Hey, sweetheart, can you get me some chili beans and a chocolate frosty?" And she was like, "Actually, our frosty machine is broke, and we don't have chili beans right now." By this point, I was already like, it took me off guard, just like it took him off guard. He was like, "Okay, that's fine. Um, can I have some chicken nuggets and a sweet tea and some sweet and sour sauce?" And she was like, "Okay." He was like, "Thank you, sweetheart." And now I'm pissed because you said it twice. And I was like, "So you just gonna call her sweetheart right in front of me?" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "It's funny." And he was looking at me. He was like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "So you gonna disrespect me, your pregnant wife, and call another woman sweetheart in front of me? Wow, that's what we do?" He was like, "I always say that. You don't never care. I care now." I said, "How would you like it if I was in the drive-thru and I said, 'Hey, honey, can you get me a chicken McNugget and a blah, blah, blah?'" And he's like, "Okay, I didn't know it was bothering you. I won't do it again." And he didn't even look at the woman. He took the meal and we drove off. And I was like, I was in full petty mode. As I was in petty mode, I was talking to myself like, what is wrong with you? All he said was, "Hey, sweetheart, can you get me a sandwich? Thank you." And I was in full, like, I don't care. Arguing with myself, like, I don't care what he said. He shouldn't have said it, huh? And the other part of me, logical part, I want to say was like, geez, good gracious, calm it down, chick. But that's how my hormones were going. So I know at one point what is it? He said something to me and I just started busting out crying. He was like, "Oh my gosh." But he liked it, like I said, because I wasn't very emotional and I was showing clearly a lot of held back emotion. As time went on, though, because we got married so quick, we knew each other for a year and got married after that year. And I kind of was like, I want to say within another year, I got pregnant. And I was pretty much just like, everything's happening really, really fast. And I felt like I didn't know him too well. I knew him, but I didn't really know him too well. So I wanted to start to get to know him. And the more that I tried to get to know him, the more it felt like he was trying to just change me. I'm older. I'm older than him. So I want to say about 4 years I'm older than him. And when he would make fun of stuff like my TV being old and like I had a VCR and DVD player, and he was like, "Everything you get now you can just stream." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool," but I still like my VCR because I recorded old videos from 2019, 2000 and whatever, and I just want to have my videos because there's some videos that you completely forget until you pop in a movie and you're like. So one day he was just going in and in on me about how old my TV was, how old I had things, how I have so much makeup, how I just like on and on. And mind you, I'm pregnant, so my hormones are not like, I'm not able to just ignore you and be like, "Okay, so bye." Instead, it was because he was doing it all day, and I think his little brother was there, and it was just like, God dang. And just the way he was going, just maliciously, it was just, I snapped, and I was like, I don't even know what I said. I know I snapped. I snapped at him, and him and his brother looked at me like, whoa. But when somebody constantly keeps saying stuff about you, like, "Oh, your stuff is so old and I'm going to throw it away," and you're like, "You're not throwing my stuff away." "Yes, I am." "No, you're not." "Yes, I am." Clearly, he was trying to throw it away, and I left it at my mom's house because I was like, this is all my stuff and I don't want to throw it away. But if someone is making you feel like that, like they gotta pretty much get rid of stuff that you care about, that's not cool. I don't care how old it is, you shouldn't do that to somebody. And so I gave it to my parents, but I snapped on him, and later on he came in and he apologized. He was like, I didn't know, but you snapped on me, you went crazy. And I was like, I didn't go crazy. I told you stop talking about me and stop talking about my stuff. Leave stuff alone. Like I already told you, okay. Like how many times, side, do I have to say, okay, leave it alone? And he, like I said, he knew I was pregnant, so why would you keep, going on and on and on? I guess unless you're in that situation, you can't really fully, like, kind of see it. But, just having somebody constantly, like, and you sitting, like, I was sitting at the table, and I was just chilling, minding my business. I wasn't even bothering them. I was just looking at them talk and just minding my business. And then you decide, oh, I'm going to bring her into this and just say a bunch of stuff. And throughout my life, I realized that that's what he liked to do. When his brother came around, he liked to nitpick stuff about me. And it was just, like, the stuff he would say, it would just be like, wow. But that's besides the point, because that's a whole nother story within a story within a story, and we're not going to do that. We're focused on the pregnancy story. So, but just to draw that out for you. So one day I was like every month when I go get my checkup, he takes me to get a slushie. So I wanted to go get my slushie, a regular cherry with orange. I was happy. I was excited. I wanted it. And he said to me as we were in the car already driving, I'm not getting you no slushie. I was like, why? It's $2. He was like, because I'm not getting you no slushie. And I was like, I can pay for it. I got $2. And he was like, it's not about the money. I don't want to drive all the way out there to get you a slushie. I got to go back to work. Mind you, he already told them about taking me to my doctor's appointment. So they were cool on the time from what he told me. He had a nice little window. He just kept trying to get back to work. I didn't understand why. Story time within a story. Tell you about that mess too. Because if you watch my first story about why he left me, you'll understand that she wasn't the first female that he talked to about me. She was just the first one he ain't never tell me about. Again, besides the point of story within the story, I should write this stuff down so I won't be all over the place. But so I was upset about the slushie because I was already like, it was a month planned. Like, just get me a slushie. It's $2. And sometimes he would tell people, oh, my wife is pregnant, so he would get stuff a little cheaper. Or they're like, oh, just go ahead. The last slushie he got was free. She was like, go ahead, take it. And he was happy. He was like, I ain't have to pay for the slushie. I paid for some gas, and we good to go. And he was happy. So I was like, why you can't just go get my slushie? And so in the car, I was really upset. I was mad. And as we went to the doctor's appointment, she checked me out. And we were supposed to wait on the results. He was like, I need to get back to work. I was like, we have to wait for her to come back and give me the results and let me know if everything's okay. And he was like, everything's been okay so far. Like, it's pretty good. I need to go back to work. I'm going to be late. It's been a while. So I was like, okay, fine, let's go. Because I was tired of him telling me that. And I told him, I said, you can leave me here and I'll just get my brother to pick me up. Because I just wanted to make sure the baby was okay. I'm sure he cared about if the baby was okay too, but he cared about getting to work a little bit more. And I felt like it was an easy phone call to be like, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late and I'll be there. But again, he had a nice little window open, so. But he kept saying it. He was like, no, I'll just take you home. So I was like, okay, fine. Just take me home. He took me home, and the doctor's office called. And they were like, you left really early and you didn't get your results and you need to come back immediately. So I told him, hey, we have to go back tomorrow and see what the results are. because they called me and they said I need to come back. And he was like, I'm sure everything's fine. I don't want to do that. And I was like, look, come on, we have to go. So I pretty much persuaded him to take me back. When we went back, she was like, okay, your blood pressure is high. Because in the car, we were already fussing about, him taking me back up there because he felt like it wasn't a priority. So when we got up there, she said, your blood pressure is pretty high. We're going to admit you to the hospital tonight. So he was looking at me. I was looking at him. And he was kind of had this, like, I'm sorry type of look on his face. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this. Like, this was what it was. But to me, it was like, you cared so much about getting to that job. Like, but anyway, I'm gonna start a picture of him panicking because they were like, you might have this baby tonight. So this is a picture of him panicking. Him like trying to talk to me about like, why ain't got nothing? We ain't got no, because the next week, mind you, we were going to have our baby shower. So within 1 week, we were about to have our baby shower. But because my son was coming a month early, because mommy was stressed out, nothing we could really do. But this is him. And if I have another picture, it's like where he was complaining to me. He didn't know I was taking a picture, but I was sitting on the couch and I went like, and when he realized I took the picture, he started posing and stuff. So if I have that picture where he started posing, I'll put it there too. So anyway, so I went to the hospital and they induced me. And as they were inducing me, the two nurses was talking, they were laughing. It was fine, but then all of a sudden, one of the nurses tripped on my IV and blood squirted out of my arm and the IV fell out. And my eyes got wide. They're laughing about it. And I looked at side and was like, what the and he was looking at me like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. At this point, I was like, this don't seem too good. And then after that, he told this nurse 3 times. He said, hey, she is allergic to latex. So she can't have latex gloves used on her. She was like, okay, yeah, I got you. She came back. He was like, so yeah, I don't know if I told you, but she can't have latex gloves. And she was like, yeah, you told me. I got you. And then when she came back, he said it again because he's like, look, the reason why I'm saying this is because I see gloves over there and they say latex gloves like on the wall. And I just want you to know she's allergic. And she was like, I understand. So she proceeded to take the gloves off the wall, put them in her hands, and then, feel around in me. Now all of a sudden I got an infection. They can't tell me where the infection came from. But they're like, oh yeah, you have a little infection. Don't worry, we're gonna take care of it. How'd I get an infection? Then they gave me something to take. I don't know what I took, but my mouth started cracking and bleeding. Just my tongue felt heavy and dry. And I was telling her that like, I was like, my lips were going like cracked and stuff. And she was like, maybe you just need a drink. But I had been drinking water the whole time. So he was like, yeah, she don't look too normal, and like her lips are bleeding and stuff. And she was like, oh, she's fine. Nothing else happened to anybody else that took this pill, so she's good. They wouldn't tell me what the pill was. They didn't tell him what the pill was. I just took something and I was like, okay, that's fine. Afterwards, I started feeling pain, real pain. Insert a picture of him holding my hand because, I was half asleep. I was trying to go to sleep, but I was in, like I said, I was in pain. It was starting to hurt. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm hurt. I need an epidural. And he's like, are you sure? Positive. I need an epidural. I'm dying. So he called the nurse. He called again. By the time they come in, 2 nurses come in, a male and a female, and they're talking, they're laughing. The male is getting the things together. He done dropped the little pin thing a couple of times, or what, the needle a couple of times. And I was looking at Sai like, yo, and he was like, it's okay. So next thing you know, the male nurse is flirting with the female nurse. My husband is laughing, and I'm like, I'm still sitting on this bed waiting for you to give me this shot. Like, ain't nothing funny. Stop flirting with homegirl and give me my shot. So by the time he finally gave me the shot, I want to say it wore off on my right side or my left side. It wore off on one of my sides, and like I was in pain. I was like, it hurts still. And so at this time, so I was like, it's okay, you'll be okay. And now he's panicking because he's like, it don't look too good, everything that's been building up so far. And then by that time they came in, they were like, yeah, so he's being a little stubborn, he doesn't want to come out. And I'm like, well, because it's not his time to come out. It's not his time to come out. But she's like, so we're gonna give you a C-section. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I postponed the C-section for another day, because I don't know, it was a certain week that they were like the baby would be pretty much okay. She gave me a specific like day, so I was trying to hold him in till that day, and I made it to that night. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready to have my son, because like it hurts. And when she came in later on that night, she was like, his heartbeat slowed down, and she was moving me around a lot throughout the night because his heartbeat kept slowing down. So by that like that same night, like later on that night, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to have a C-section. I'm ready to do this, because I wasn't feeling that his heart was slowing down so much. So again, they were like, well, your doctor, the one that actually came in with you and was like she was going to do the procedure with you, she actually left. She's going on vacation. So this other doctor will come in with you. Now, the reason why this was a problem to me is because I had 2 placentas. And my doctor knew that I had 2 placentas. And, you have to get both of them out, because if you leave one in, I believe she told me it could rupture, and then I go home, bleed to death, and die. Just like this is how they told me. When they told me I had 2 placentas, let me tell you, the nurse, she was like, I see 2 placentas. And I was like, what does that mean? Are there 2 babies? No, I said, what does that mean? And Sai was like, is there 2 babies? And she was like, I only see 1 baby. The other one must have died. Literally said that. So I looked over at Sai like, can you believe she just said that to me? And his face was like, you know how when you're with somebody so long, they could like kind of feel your emotion. That's how I felt like he could feel like, hey, that hurt her feelings. Like, so when I got in the car and he drove me home, I was like quiet about it. But that morning I woke up and I was just crying. And then I woke him up and I was like, she said my baby died. And he gave me a hug. He was kind of lost for like what to do, because I just woke him up out of nowhere and was crying about it. And yeah, that's really sad for me still, because I feel like I would have had twin boys, Sebastian and Tristan. And yeah, so when I celebrate my son's birthday, I always say a little, birthday to Tristan, because yeah, well, not, I went between Tristan and Alexander, and I kind of like Alexander, but I still like Tristan because Sebastian. So I go between that, Tristan, Alexander, Tristan. So yeah, some days I like Tristan, some days I like Alexander more. But yeah, so that was horrible. But yeah, once it started wearing off and stuff, I was like, okay, I need to have the baby. Now, I'm going to say that at this point, I was scared. I was petrified. So when everybody came in to help me, I looked at one particular nurse and I was like, are you gonna leave me? Because so far everybody keeps leaving me. And she was like, no, I'm not gonna leave you, honey, you're okay. And I was like, you're gonna be right here? She was like, yeah, I'm gonna be right here. I was like, you promise? And she was like, yeah, I promise. Now I felt like I had to do this because, like I said, I was scared for my life, and I felt like I needed to have somebody sympathize with me just so I can make it up out of there. And I feel like that worked because as I was going into the room they were willing me, they told Side that he couldn't come in with me at the moment. And I remember hearing him say, why can't I go in? That's my wife. And when they got me in, the woman was talking to the doctor and she was like, yeah, she has 2 placentas, because that's something I was telling her as I was rolling in. She was like, she has 2 placentas. Yeah. Did you put enough? Yeah. Are you okay, honey? Like, that's when she started, because when she first came in, it just was like, oh, you're another person, like another number I have to quickly go through this with. So I felt like I had to have somebody sympathize with me just to make it up out of there, which is pretty sad. But like I said, it worked. And he did get to come in because he was very persuasive, and he was like, hey, I'm going in with her. They were like, some people, they get sick, they pass out when they see stuff like this. And he's a big guy, so nobody wants to pick his big butt up off the floor. And I'm not saying like big as in, stocky. He's tall. He's tall and he's a little muscular. So nobody's gonna be trying to pick you up off the floor and trying to deliver a baby. But he was like, I'm good. He came in, picture, and I remember his eyes was wide, so I knew they were cutting me open because of how his eyes were. He was like, you okay, Jay? I was like, yeah, I'm good. Are you okay? He was like, yeah. You don't feel that? I said, no, I don't feel anything, because he's tall, so he could see over the little curtain thing exactly what they're doing. He was like, I see you in a way your mother has never seen you. And I remember laughing because he made me, laugh sometimes during, crazy things, because I like to laugh and joke. So he made a joke and it was funny. I was laughing. He was like, you're okay though, right? I said, yeah. He was like, I see something. They're pulling him out. And I said, I don't hear nothing. And then we heard a little, because they were like, he was just chill. He came out eyes wide, like chill. But then they popped his little butt a couple times, and then you heard, and then we both looked at each other and said, there he goes. And as he got up to go get the baby, I was looking at him and I was like, what does he look like? What does he look like? You waited so long to see this little person and you can't see him. And I remember him saying, he looks just like you. He's so beautiful. And then he cradled him and they walked him over to me and put him on my chest. I hope I have this. I know I have it somewhere. I hope I put it on here though. So they put him on my chest, but as you can see, I'm not looking down at him because my neck fat. I can't see him. So I was like, I don't see him. And so I was like, he's there. He's on you. So as they were rolling us out and they was taking the baby and stuff, they put the baby on me, kept the baby on me. He was like, I can hold him. And Sai was like, he was like, I can hold him. But they were like, no, we're going to take mommy and baby somewhere. So they took us and we were in this little room and I was holding him. I still couldn't see him, but I knew I could feel him. I was holding him. And I was scared because this is the first actual baby I've ever held. So I was like, so I was scared, but she was checking him and making sure everything was okay. And then another nurse came in and she was like, there is a Sai, blah, blah, blah. And he says he's your husband. He wants to come in with you. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, he can come in. And I wonder what would happen if I'd be like, nah, I don't think so. He'd have been pissed. But yeah, I was like, he could come in. So he came in and he was like, they were trying not to let me in. And he was looking, he was like, you got the baby? And she, I was like, yeah, I got him. And the nurse was like, so I'm going to take him real quick. And then she did something. And then as soon as she was trying to put the baby back on me, he was like, I got him. And she looked at me and I was like, yeah, he can hold him. Because I was a little nervous anyway. And he was just so anxious to get his hands on him. So, and that was cute to me because once he got his hands on him, it was almost like he didn't want to let him go. So to me, that was like so beautiful because I was really nervous about him with our son because I knew he wanted a little girl, but he was pretty good with him. And so when they took us to another room, they took hold up. They took my son and they did the little cut for his little man part. And I know the words to this, but right now I don't. They took the little cut to his little stuff, and and so I went with him. And then he came back with him, and I was like, "Is it the same baby?" Because you know how you hear stories about people swapping babies out. I was scared they was gonna swap my baby out, and I didn't even get a chance to look at him yet. So I was like, "Is it the same baby? Are you sure?" He was like, "Yeah, it's him. I got him." And so of course, more people come in. They put some stuff on my legs. I asked them what was it for, and they told me don't worry about it. I have a picture with blood coming out from between my legs and like little my legs crossed with these things on them. Um, if y'all know what that meant, you could tell me. They didn't tell me, but sharing is caring. Hopefully, I could find that picture and put it somewhere in here too. But yeah. So excuse me, that happened, and so while I was getting everything done, um, they helped me breastfeed. I think only Sa has video of that. I might have video. I'm not sure, but I think he's the only one that has video of that, of footage of them putting him on my chest trying to breastfeed. Because he was taking a video and then he put the video down to help them because he opened my shirt, but was still trying to conceal me, but make sure they couldn't really. I wasn't just exposed. Um, so yeah, once that happened, I couldn't really. Every time I tried to give my little boob to him, it wasn't working out. He wasn't latching. So a lactation coach was in there. Um, Still, I couldn't do it. She had to just like she was just forcing it in there. And I was like, how do you even know he's drinking anything? Like, what if I'm not even producing much? Like, how would I know I'm not starving him to death? How do you know? How do you know if they're getting much? And I know you're like, they move their mouth, but they're just sucking on it sometimes. So how do you know? And so, yeah, that point, like, while I was asleep, So I hid the baby, and they were like, yeah, so here's some little formulas that are good for him. You could use this. And so they gave him the formula, and so I would keep a stock of the formula. I always asked for some before he left. At one point, all the nurses were gone, so I guess they were doing something, helping somebody, and he couldn't get formula, so we had to call my brother, and my brother was like, yeah, I'll come up there with formula, and he got him formula and my brother bought formula for the baby. And yeah, it was just around that time, though, it was a woman that kept coming in asking me if I wanted her to put my son in the crib. And at that time, Sai was asleep on the couch, and I was just holding the baby, and I was like, no, I'm good. We're good. Thank you. She was like, are you sure I can take him and put him in the thing? I was like, no, we're good. Because my thing was, if he cries, I can't get up and get him out, because the thing was like this tall. And, you know, once you get cut open, my mind automatically thought, if I move too, you know, like this, everything's going to fall out. So I was like, nah, you're fine. We're good. So I wanted to keep him with me, because if he cried, I could hold him and do what I need to do without, you know. And I was short. I couldn't get him out of the thing. Like, again, this is my first time holding a baby, so I couldn't get him out of the thing without feeling like I was going to let his little head go or something. So, yeah, and then she came back again, and she was like, hey, I just was going to pick him up and put him in the bassinet. And I was like, we're good. She was like, he's been on you for a while. Yeah, we're okay. Are you sure? I'm positive. The third time she came in, she annoyed me to no end, because she was like, I'm going to take him to, she was supposed to take him somewhere. And I was like, oh no, we're okay. Because at this point, like, I'm tired and you're getting on my nerves. I just want to sit and watch this TV, and you're going to wake my baby up, and I'm trying to have him sleep because I'm scared. I haven't been around the baby too much, and right now he just resting peacefully. Go away and stop talking. And she was like, I'm gonna take him and we're gonna get him weighed and it'll be okay. I'll bring him right back. And I was like, no, he's okay. You can come back later. And she was like, we really have to get him now. And I was like, you can come back later. And then she saw that Sai was starting to stir a little bit. So she was like, okay. And then she left, right? So now another nurse came in like an hour later. And she was like, how's everything? I said, oh, he's okay. So is it good that we reschedule him for like a weigh-in for later on in the morning? She was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, the nurse just came in here and she was trying to weigh him. She was like, I'm your nurse. I was like, another nurse came in. She said, what does she look like? I said, Caucasian with short, curly white hair. And she was like, okay, I'm your nurse. My name is whatever her name was. And she pointed to the chalkboard. I know I took a picture of the chalkboard. I'm not sure if I have it on this phone, the other phone, or somewhere. I've had like 1,001 phones. But yeah, she was like, pointed to the chalkboard, and she was like, so I'll be right back. And she went out there, and when she came back, she informed me that only family members would be coming in to see me. And again, she clarified that she was the nurse and clarified who my doctor was and that everything was going to be okay. That's it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, so the other lady wasn't my nurse, so who was she? Why did she keep getting to move freely towards my room and stuff? Like, what's going on? The whole thing was ridiculous, and after that, I was super paranoid. I actually tried to get WIC as well, and when I tried to get WIC, they gave me like, I want to say $13 for groceries, like, because I think you could get groceries with that, or it might have been food stamps. I got food stamps, and what I got for food stamps was $13. And for WIC, they were only doing the powdered milk. And I kind of knew that I wasn't trying to do anything powder. I wanted something liquidy, because I didn't trust powder because I read that it could get clogged if you don't stir it enough, and I didn't want to go through all that. So I was like, okay, we're good. And I had canceled my wick because I was like, somebody else could probably use this more than I could. I'm not just gonna try to get wick just because I can get wick. I thought I could get a little help with some you know, formula. When I went to the store and really checked out formula for myself, I was like, it's not really that expensive. Yes, it does add up, but I was like, it's not really that expensive. And if you coupon stuff, you can get it a little cheaper too. So I let go of wick, and the wick lady kept calling me, and calling me. She showed up at one of my doctor's appointments, and I was like, I'm not on wick. And she was like, yeah, but you should really be on wick because of the benefits. And I was like, yeah, okay, but I'm okay. And she was like, I understand. And I remember, so I was like, how does she even know where our doctor's appointment was? I was like, I don't know. But now that I think back on it, like, I had to sign my name and hospital stuff and stuff like that. So that's probably how she knew. We didn't understand how she knew the day. But again, she probably called and checked and just came to see. And that was the day I was taking my glucose test, see how my sugar was. But yeah, so. And she called after my baby was out the womb still, and I took wick off the like 2 days after I applied for it. I was off, and a lady that I called because I was tired of the other lady calling me and coming by, I was like, hey, I'm no longer on wick. And she was like, yeah, you're off the list. She was like, you were on, but you're off. And I was like, yeah. She was like, you want to continue to be off? Yes. I was like, there's a woman that keeps calling me, and I was letting her know that I'm off a wig. And she was like, nobody should be calling you. And I was like, well, somebody is calling me. I should be off. And she was like, okay. And like I said, after I gave birth to my son, she kept trying to come over and weigh him and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, he got weighed at the hospital. He's going to get weighed when I have to take him to go get his shots. He's okay, and I'm not on the program, so you don't have to come by. And she kept saying, I just want to come by and make sure he's okay and, make sure he's healthy and everything. Well, that's what they did at the hospital. So I couldn't understand why she kept trying to get over to my apartment so bad. When I was diagnosed, I'm not on this program anymore. I was only on there for 48 hours. I'm not on the program anymore. And again, I'm okay. But yeah, she never got to come over because I kept ignoring her call and blocking. I blocked her and stuff, and Sai didn't answer her, and he pretty much let them know, look, she not coming to my house. Because I told him, I said, I feel uncomfortable. And he's like, then you stop doing wick? I said, yeah. He's like, then why is she trying to? And I explained to him how I felt. And he, maybe he didn't agree with me, but he was like, look, if that's how you feel. So I respect him on that. He was like, okay, she not coming. But yeah, it was. I need to work out. It was a tough pregnancy, and the experience going up to it was very. So when people are like, you want to have another baby? No. From the moment, like, these people got involved, it wasn't so, like, from the telling me, oh, your baby must be dead, to the, oh, you have to have an emergency C-section, but I'm going to be here to help you through it, and then disappearing to go on vacation. Which is not a problem. It's just like when you tell somebody, yeah, you're going to have a C-section, but another doctor is coming in to help you throughout all these steps. That's okay. But when you come in and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be here to help you. I'm going to help you deliver. I'm going to help you push out. I'm going to help you do all this, and that. And then you turn around and bam, you're on vacation. You didn't even say nothing. Like, so I'm one of those people that got anxiety. So, like, I shake pretty bad. So I like to do things that are familiar to me. And if you want to go somewhere with me, you have to tell me like a week ahead of time. I have to know. I have to prepare myself for whatever I'm about to do. Um, Other than that, like I'm just shaking the whole time, or my voice will tremble, or something like that. So yeah. So when people ask me, do you want to have another baby? My experience was horrible. So no, I don't want to bring another child into this world, especially with what's going on in the world. Yeah, no, I don't. And then I got postpartum depression. That's another story if you want to hear about my postpartum. Because I never thought postpartum was truly real. I always assumed that, you you hear people say, "But I went through it and it was all right. I didn't have," not everybody is the same, and stuff happens to people differently. So yeah, if you want to hear about my postpartum story, not even if you want to hear, I'm going to tell you about my postpartum story. Next story time. Postpartum, I got a lot of stories. Hopefully, the more I tell stories, the better it gets. The more prepared I am to tell the story. But yeah, I say when you're pregnant, try to do whatever you got to do to be calm. Instead of fussing at him about my slushie, I probably should have just called my brother and asked him if he could, buy me a slushie. Because he would have been like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll buy you a slushie. But again, logically, I know I would have probably did that. Could you drive me to get a slushie? But at that moment, when I was pregnant, I wasn't thinking logically. So if you have a spouse and they're pregnant and they're just like, try to be sympathetic. It does not hurt. It goes a long way. And yeah, that depression postpartum, that is so real. It's real, it's hard, and it's crazy as it gets. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and prepare yourself for postpartum.